My name is Rochelle Petway. I am the Director of External Affairs for IACBE. I've been with the company since 2013, and I have been able to see this competition evolve over the years. Before we get into our panel discussion, I would like to introduce the competition coordinator, Mr. Jordan Levy. He's the Executive Director and founder of CapSource. He is also the person handling all of the day-to-day operations for the competition. To provide you guys with a little bit of history, the competition started back in 2012. It was held in Kansas City. There were 3 teams and it was 1 round. We started the competition because we were getting a lot of inquiries as to if we were going to start having any student posters or any student, focused activities that would run in conjunction with our conference. And so the idea came about to have a student case study competition. Like I said, the first one was 2012. There's only 3 teams and it was 1 round. It has now evolved to a live business challenge that also has an ethical component on the second day. This is our 8th year for the competition, and every year is something special. I learn something new every year, receive a lot of feedback from faculty and students. Again, our goal is to have 10 teams this year. We average about 7 teams a year from all over the globe. We've had teams compete from Guam. We've had teams compete from Cologne. We have schools from all over the U.S. And so it's a very diverse group of students that we have. This session, is designed to help you guys have a better understanding of the competition and to also allow you the opportunity to ask some questions. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jordan Levy, who is the competition coordinator, for him to walk you guys through the process. So Jordan.
Thanks, Rochelle. It's truly an honor to be here. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your schedules to learn a little bit more about what we have cooking up as part of the IACBE International Case Competition this year. Every year we make it a small effort to make it definitely even more exciting than it was last year. My history, my kind of background with the competition actually starts in 2016 when the conference was located in Memphis, Tennessee. I got a chance to meet Rochelle and actually be a judge for the competition my first time around. Kind of immediately, we were already in the business of helping academic institutions incorporate more hands-on experiential learning. Approached Rochelle and just said, hey, I love this. I love the fact that at this conference compared to any other accreditor or even most academic conferences in general, students are invited to attend, to contribute, and I think it's how it should be. Students should really be a part of really deciding the future of the tactics that are used for education and what's exciting for them in order to really continue to enhance curriculum. And after a year of really discussing and trying to figure out what would be most ideal, last year we launched our first version of the partnership, which was really for CapSource to take over the live business case component of the competition. And this year, we actually are helping to facilitate the entire competition. So we're really excited to be here. I'll give you guys a little bit of a glimpse of the competition kind of at a high level. As Rochelle mentioned, it's been running for 8 years, growing every year. And what makes the IACBE network just so compelling is the fact that they really do care and prioritize teaching and learning over all other priorities. And I think that comes out in this competition. It comes out when you see these students perform at their best, and it's certainly something that I was majorly impressed by when I started as a judge, and ultimately I put the case competition last year together, which was based on a company called ClassPulse. There's international schools that compete, and for the first time ever, we'll be including some non-IACBE member institutions as well, as a way to kind of open our horizons and allow faculty from schools outside of the network to get a glimpse into some of the value that's provided in our network. As Rochelle mentioned, also 10 schools this year, so it's a little bit more competitive than before. We'll also be using 2 different cases again, a live business case and an ethics case. We'll be talking about those shortly in a little bit more depth. We're also doing another pretty exciting thing, what we're calling a special professional development day for the students, which I'll talk about in a little bit more depth when we get to the schedule part of the presentation. And then wanted to thank again Olin for really being a part of rewarding these students for the hard work. Peregrine has been a sponsor for the competition for many years. It includes a small cash prize, a plaque, and certainly some bragging rights, which I'm sure Mateo, who is from Cologne Business School, that was the winning team last year, will be able to shed some light on when we get to the panel discussion portion of the webinar. So I wanted to kind of quickly give you a glimpse of the 2 cases that are involved in the competition. We use 2 cases for a particular reason. We want to test multiple facets of the student capabilities, and I think there's nothing better than these 2. The live business case is a philosophy that we've actually created at CapSource. We believe strongly that in order to bridge the skills gap, we really need help from companies. We need to give students real, projects, expect real deliverables. They produce real outcomes, and they get real feedback. And I think that type of experience is exactly what students are able to talk about and bring with them well into their careers. And it's certainly something that I've seen many students reference as a pretty cornerstone element of their professional development experience and exposure while students. And so that's part of the reason why we wanted to incorporate that into the case competition this year. They'll have about 5 to 6 weeks starting officially on March 6th to assemble their insights. They'll get a chance to discuss some of the developments that they've come up with so far during a live office hours session. The executives from the company who's hosting the case competition will be at the conference and part of the judging panel, so they'll really get some amazing feedback from stakeholders that care about the outcomes. And the deliverable is a 2-page memo and a 30-minute presentation, including Q&A. So it's a really compelling experience. You really can see these students brighten up when they realize some of the recommendations can be put into effect almost immediately in some cases. So the urgent ethical case, which is the second case that we'll be using, is actually provided to the students while at the conference. The idea is to simulate a kind of urgent manner that needs to be dealt with in a quick and efficient manner. We want to test the students' capabilities, especially pertaining to thinking on your feet, being able to respond to rather challenging ethical prompts, but from a perspective that's using frameworks and theories and certainly everything that they've collected as a result of the awesome learning experience they've gotten at the institutions that are participating. So that's actually a case courtesy of the Eller Center for Leadership Ethics at the University of Arizona. We've been using cases from them for many years, and it's really nice how complementary these 2 case formats are. This one doesn't take a whole lot of prep, but there's a lot of punch. And then, of course, the live business case, it takes a lot of prep, and the students feel really rewarded in the end. So I'll quickly kind of showcase the schedule, especially some key dates to keep in mind. The main thing is that because the live business case starts in March, we actually need the teams registered by next week, February 12th. There are about 4 to 5 spots left, and they're filled on a first-come, first-served basis. So if you do believe that you are interested, certainly don't spend too much time thinking about it. We really want to solidify the teams and start getting ramped up. The 27th of February is actually when we'll be releasing the materials so students can start to review those. It is not essential that the team is finalized until March 5th, though. So if you needed some extra time to put the teams together at your schools, no problem. You'll have about a month from today to really assemble the best team to showcase the skills and expertise at your school. But we do ask that your school registers as soon as possible, especially if you're really interested in solidifying a spot. Other than that, we'll be doing the official kickoff for the competition, including the host company, who will give a brief overview of the background of the company, the product, the business model, the industry, and the project itself on March 6th. In addition to that, we will be doing a office hours the week of March 25th. So in between those two dates, the students have about 3 weeks to start getting their research together, start thinking through the way in which they feel is the best way to respond. And then, exciting enough, the students get to actually check in with the company, kind of temperature check how their insights are coming together and whether or not they're heading in the right direction. Ultimately, the students will be submitting their final materials by 5 p.m. on April 7th, which is the Sunday before the competition. Then we'll be welcoming the students on Tuesday the 9th, Development Day, which is actually a brand new thing we're adding to the competition. I think Mateo is actually one of several students last year that said, we really want a chance to meet some of the other students and network and have a little bit of fun. And we thought, what a better way than kind of bring them together through a few really exciting activities. We have Clean the World, which is a volunteer organization that the students will get to spend some time with and learn from. Same thing with a front of the house tour of Caesar's Palace, which should be pretty exciting. Exclusive access to certain parts and people within the organization. And then certainly some opportunities to network and eat some food together and really just kind of chat as companions as opposed to competitors for just the kickoff. Then the live business case takes place all day on the 10th. So the students have 20 minutes to present with 10 minutes of Q&A. Again, the panel of judges will include the executives from the company that's hosting the competition. So that's a really exciting opportunity to present directly to the stakeholders that really need the feedback and are really interested in the outcomes that the students are generating. As a way to wrap it up here, the last component, the urgent ethical case, the students will be provided that material at 8 a.m. on April 11th. They'll have 4 hours to put their materials together. They'll get a chance to grab a bite for lunch, and then they'll have an opportunity to present to a different panel of judges in about 20 minutes, including Q&A throughout the afternoon. So it's definitely 2 action-packed jam days of really fun networking, presentations, and truly immersive professional development for these students. With that, I'm going to hand it back over to Rochelle, who's going to kind of introduce the panel speakers that we have here today that will probably do an even better job than the two of us at kind of speaking to the benefits that are in store if you decide to participate, whether you're a student or the institution.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. I'm going to ask our sponsor, Olin, Peregrine Academic Services. Can you share with the group why Peregrine Academic Services continues to support the case competition year after year?
Well, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Thanks for participating here, and happy to help out on this very important thing that we support through the IACBE, the Student Case Study Competition. As a business owner, I look to hire business graduates who have a thorough understanding of advanced problem solving in today's complex world of business. And so, but I believe that the Student Case Study Competition helps develop and promote those skills. As a company, we're happy to support it and feel that it's an important part of business education to have that synthesis of business knowledge expressed through the case study competition. And certainly in supporting it through our Bloomberg Business Week B-School Connection service, which includes the Education Resource Center, it's a natural relationship there because the B-School Connection service is based on building mini case studies to help provide classroom-ready, news-based research and application activities for students each week. So all those things combined, the importance of the case study competition, our relationship with Bloomberg Business Week, the School Connection, and happy to support the good quality work that the IACBE and the member schools do.
Thank you, Olin. Paula, can you shed some light as to why you bring a team to the student competition?
Okay. Last year we had an opportunity to bring a team from Dean College, and it was our first experience with the IACBE Student Case Competition. We were excited when we heard that there would be a live case aspect to the competition. That drew us in because we think it's a great experience for the students to have. Again, just sort of supporting all of the points that Jordan made in terms of the learning experience is greater when it's a real life situation. So for us, the reason for participating in it is the opportunity that it presented for the students, for the learning and the experience.
Okay. Having some, Jerry, do you have any thoughts on that? On, how has the competition, benefited the institution, or any perspective?
Here at Dean, what we've always believed is that working with live business cases and real organizations gives the students a better experience than a paper case study. So we've been doing this for a long time as part of what we do at the School of Business, and taking part in a competition like this was just an outstanding opportunity for the students.
Okay. I think Joy has joined us again. I really want to get her perspective on this, given that she's been a part of this for the past few years. Joy, are you there?
They learn so much in terms of them seeing other students in their presentations after they presented, and ideas that they didn't think of themselves, and just the experience of the research and working together has been a magnificent opportunity for all of them. And all the teams talk a lot about it. And of course, getting bragging rights when you place is always a wonderful thing too.
Mateo, when you get a chance, we'd just love to hear your students' perspective here. Would love to hear a bit more about why and how you got involved with the competition from the get-go, and then maybe talk a little bit about the experience of, prepping for it and then ultimately winning would be really exciting for us.
Yes, sure, I can do. Can you hear me clearly? Yes. Without feedback?
Yes, we can.
Perfect, excellent. So the way I got into the competition, basically, my university sent out an email to all students. Later we found out they had grouped students, so they were actually looking for one bachelor student, master, and one MBA student. So they were actually trying to have a colorful, diverse group of students. And I applied for my position, so I sent in my CV and a couple of letters of motivation. Through that way I got picked, and I believe it started in, don't beat me on that, I believe in March we had the first meeting. We discussed the possibilities, what we should do. We had a meeting with you, Rochelle, and I believe with you, Jordan, as well. We got a couple of information about the case study competition, got introduced to the company, got introduced to the theme and to the whole, the way the whole event was planned. And I believe we had about 30 days then between the first meeting and the eventual way going to New Orleans. So our event was taking place in New Orleans. So we had about 30 days to plan this whole project. Exactly, the idea was that it was an app that would provide students the ability to give instant feedback to their professors. And additionally, some statistics on how the students were doing, engagement, all that kind of stuff. And we were meant to not only look into the company, but build a plan, build a way how they could make money out of this idea, an idea how they could expand, where they could expand to. And so basically work as a consultancy team for this company, which was a great opportunity, especially because this is a real company. It's not a business case we can just say, okay, I'm going to look it up, or I look at a similar case. It was an actual company with unique features, which us as a unique group, we didn't really know each other before. So we first had to actually find ourselves as a group, and then had to figure out how to help this company. We had the opportunity to speak to the CEO of the company as well, to ask a couple of questions. We got some support from our professors, so they brought in some experts from our university that looked at our proposals and gave us tips. I remember I did one questionnaire called a Van Westendorp to figure out the pricing strategy, and it was hinted to me by one of our finance professors. He liked to use that thing. And that's how we built our financing plan. So through many different opportunities and through our teamwork, we eventually got to the point where we built this consultancy project and went to New Orleans and competed in the competition. And eventually we won, which was great experience, not only because we learned, we worked together as a team, we had a great opportunity to actually go to the US, paid by my university. So one of the greatest opportunities for me was to work with people that were much more experienced than I was. And it was the opportunity they showed me, for example, how they would organize the presentation. So we went for, I believe it was the idea to follow the presentation style of McKinsey. So we did not just go from where we were and then step by step, but we first presented the solution and then walked back to how we got to the point where we would recommend a solution. So there were many things I got to learn, from presentation style to how to actually form a presentation, to stuff like technical skills like Van Westendorp, that helped me a lot, and was the pressure also to work in a high pressurized environment. I believe our CEO, our CFO, our president, and the dean for international business of my university went with us.
Jerry, we've heard a little bit about how great the competition is. Can you shed some light from an administration perspective as to how teams actually fundraise and the support the support that's needed to send an actual team to the competition?
First of all, it wasn't in any budget. We got to go because we won the regional competition here in New England. So that made our student team eligible to go to New Orleans. So we had to run around and find some money for them to go. Now, it helped that IACBE picked up the registration for all the 4 students. So that was a big plus. And then we went to the president of the college and managed to get a budget so we could get the students down there and in the hotel and be able to feed them while they were there. It was a great experience for them because none of the 4 students that we took with us, or the 3 students rather, had ever been to New Orleans. They loved the chance to meet some other folks, to see what was going on, and to participate in the competition. They spent a lot of their time preparing, and once they got down there, I think they went to the Café du Monde 4 times. They were there a lot. They thought it was just fantastic, but they got a chance to see and experience stuff that they never did before, and that was a real plus. Plus the chance to meet everybody at the conference, the other vendors, Jordan and folks who went out of their way to welcome them. That was a big plus. For us, the fundraising was a matter of trying to move budget money around. We didn't really get the opportunity to go out and fundraise with people outside. Since then, we've had 1 or 2 folks say they'd like to help if we ever get there again. That would be a nice thing to do. We didn't win the competition up here this year. You'll have a great team from New England that will go down, I think. But the fundraising piece is a little different because you've got to make sure the distinction is with the donors that they don't think students are going on spring break, but they're actually going away to a professional development conference.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. And I'll, just throw this out to anybody on the panel. The workload and time management issues are extremely important factors for both the instructor and the student participating in the case competition. Do you guys have any suggestions and or tips you'd like to share in regard to the workload and the time management commitment?
So this is Paula. I can provide some information on that question. We took an approach, this is part of our best practices, and what we did is we tried to ensure that we chose students that we knew were motivated and had good time management skills. So we were, right from the beginning of the process, we wanted to set them up as best for success as we could. And then from there, it was sort of working with them initially to have a meeting to review the process and what it would entail with doing a live case, have them think about, the workload, distributing the work, where their each of the team members, where their skill sets might and interests might lie, to sort of start to focus on those particular areas. And then what we did was had a few interim meetings throughout the process, just more of a status update, field questions that the students might have, gently direct their attention to anything that might seem off. But it was more from a standpoint of let the students learn on their own, where they took charge of it and they managed it with our supervision. And I know one particular instance we had in this experience was, I noticed, my background is accounting, so I noticed a financial schedule looked a little off to me. And I raised a couple of questions with the students, and they very, strongly and passionately defended their schedule. So I let it go, and I believe that it was in error, but I thought they would get more out of the experience if they presented their information and they either realized it was off or could back up what they did on their own. And I think that was a really beneficial learning moment for them through the process of different things that may have come up. So the workload, we sort of had made sure that they were comfortable with a 20 to 40 hour time frame to prepare for it, and then just ensuring that there were students that would be able to manage the process.
Okay, great. Do you have any best practices, any ideas that, for best practices and for coaching and mentoring the students that you'd like to share with the group, Paula? I mean, I know that comes a lot with it, being the faculty advisor. You're there with them on site and prior to the conference. So if you can share some of those, share your experiences, that'd be great.
Right. Yeah, that's a very good question. And the best practices, I mean, first, it does come down to the group that you're with, is understanding the students, what they need, what they're looking for, providing the support in the areas that you think might be most helpful. But also, I think being able to step back and let them proceed in the direction that they want to head, even if it might not be the direction I would head to present the information, because they have to develop their style. I think trying to engage them with questions rather than suggesting how they do it was an approach that we took as well. But it was really, I found it to be a great learning experience, as it is always with students, because students are different. They have a different approach. They have a different personalities, etc. So letting them be them, but trying to keep them, it's almost like setting up bumper guards, I would say, would be the approach that we used with the teams.
Okay, great. And I guess another question would be, as with anything, you always have a group who's always willing to volunteer or get involved. This is for anybody on the panel. How did you promote the opportunity on campus? Did you get your marketing team involved? Did you have a course? Did you do any other any type of promotions, or was it, just how did you guys do that on your campus?
This is Jerry. For us, it was kind of a reward for students. We invited students to participate instead of asking for people just to volunteer from across the campus or the School of Business. We invited some students to participate as the team and used it as a kind of a reward for the hard work they had done. Of the students that we incorporated, 3 were seniors and 1 was kind of a junior and a half. He graduated this past semester in December. So we had a kind of some seasoned people there, but they were students who had worked hard and had given a lot to the School of Business and to the college itself. And this was kind of a, okay, give it a shot, see what you think. Here's your chance to shine. And they did a great job in the regional competition. And then when we went to New Orleans, that was a chance for them to broaden their horizons and, as Paula said, show what they could do on their own. They met on a regular basis. They did it all themselves, and they really, we thought, did a great job with it.
Great, thank you for that. Joy, since you're the veteran on this panel, why do you continue to come back year after year and bring a team? You've placed the top 3 a few times, and you've not placed. So, why do you continue to do it? I know it's a lot of work for the faculty advisors and the students. The timing can be a bit challenging, but I just want to kind of hear from you for a little bit. Why do you continue to bring back a student team?
Well, I really think it's a great experience for the students, and basically it's for them. And much like I think it was Paula was saying that the students do it pretty much on their own. That's the way I handle it as well. I introduce it in the capstone class and ask who might be interested. And then those students can say they are or not. I might tap somebody and say, would you be interested in doing this? And then I turn it over to them. They select the case they wanted to do when we were doing we took a case, unlike now when their case is given to us, which really is a lot more time commitment, I think, than the way we did it before. But I think it's more beneficial to the students to do that. But the learning experience for them to come has been so good for the students that have come. And I want that experience for them. Now, unfortunately, this year, I'm not able to bring a team. We're going to have a team, but I'm not going to be the one with them because I have other obligations and I can't do it this year. But it's amazing what the students come back with. And a lot of them even haven't traveled to the town. Somebody else mentioned that. They haven't traveled to the town where the event is being held. And so they have that experience as well as meeting other students. And then the learning experience of the case itself is just beyond what you can put numbers on. And the students then talk about it when they come back and interest some of the students that are younger that I've taken younger teams. It hasn't always been seniors. But generally, I bring senior students.
Thank you, Joy. I'm going to ask a bit of a wild card question. I'm going to pose this to Jordan because, in Jordan's day-to-day, job, he's sourcing businesses with these different competitions and these interactions on campuses. Jordan, can you share with the group what is some of the top feedback that you get from companies after interacting with students who do these live business challenges?
Great question, Rochelle. Thanks for the opportunity. So, what's really shocking, so at this point, CapSource has been around for about 2.5 years. It happens to be my second education company. So I've been responsible for helping connect about a few hundred companies at this point with institutions through experiential learning. And what's repeatedly the kind of consistent theme I see is just how impressed they are that students are able to come up with the insights that they do. And in a lot of cases, they come up with such unique ideas that it really causes the company to ask even more questions than they receive answers. And that's the value that I think they often get out of these experiences, because there's really nothing quite like putting on the suit and tie, getting your act together, acting as a team, especially in situations like Mateo was talking about, where they don't really know their teammates from the beginning. And that's exactly the type of situation that they're going to be facing in the real world, where they're joining new teams or collaborating with partners or new companies or customers or what have you. And it's just to see the students light up and deliver something that they poured their heart and soul into to a company that actually wants to see these responses is really where I think the magic happens in these types of case competitions. And to throw multiple types of cases at them and see how they kind of respond differently. Mateo's team did an exceptional job on both, and it's really such a different context to give students 3 to 4 weeks, or in this case 5 weeks, to prepare for a case versus just a few hours. But it really it pulls on them in ways that they're not pulled on in the traditional classroom, and I think that's the benefit here. And for institutions that are thinking about ways to engage their students, Dean College does this quite a bit, and so does Ohio Valley and many of the schools that are participating in the competition and have been in the past. So to just be able to see in the flesh what it's like to incorporate companies into the educational process, I think it's an invaluable experience for the students, but also the institutions.
Thank you, Jordan. Olin, kind of drawing inspiration from your experience as a business owner and your experience in the military that you have, Can you talk to the group a little bit and shed some insights as to how important it is, the importance of working in a team and how sometimes that translates into your work life?
Oh, yes, happy to address that question. Good question. Certainly in today's business world, I think we're all pretty aware that there's very little any of us ever do anymore that is totally in isolation without team engagement and involvement. Just yesterday, as we were onboarding our new marketing manager for Peregrine, much of that onboarding process really centers around who you coordinate and collaborate with to accomplish the work. And certainly in the military construct, everything's based on teams and teamwork. The student case study competition, one of the outcomes that results from that is the opportunity for students to work collaboratively on a specific project, problem-solving exercise, case study, example, whatever that may be, which also teaches those important team and teamwork skills. So another good reason for using the student case study competition to help teach, promote, and develop those other intended learning outcomes in addition to the integration of business knowledge and skills.
Thank you for that, Owen. I think we're going to conclude our panel discussion with that. I'm going to hand it back over to Jordan for him to discuss a little bit more details, with the competition. So Jordan?
Thanks, Rochelle. And thank you to all our panelists. I know this came together kind of last minute, but we are just so impressed with the different perspectives we were able to bring in today and the awesome content that you shared. I mean, it really is true to hear from Mateo how excited he was, and then Dean College and from Joy, really to be able to hear how you prep the students and how you get this into action, especially in a short time frame. But also how powerful the experience can really be is truly something that I know that IACBE and CapSource are really proud of. So we certainly hope to see you guys at the competition. Again, there's only a few slots left, so we definitely highly recommend that you register, especially because a lot of the institutions return every year. So there's really only a few slots available. We include the pricing on the slide here for the 3- and 4-person team. You have the option to bring either a 3- or 4-person team to the competition. Just note that it includes the faculty liaisons conference attendance as well. I wanted to just re-highlight a few key deadlines coming up. So registration, the deadline is the 12th, which is a week from today. So we really hope that you guys can really move quickly on this. We want you to finalize the teams by March 5th at the latest. Just note that the students will have access by the February 27th, which is about a week before that. So if you want to give them the full experience, ideally you'd have the team solidified by then. But the main thing is just to decide if you're going to make some space in the schedule and in the budget for the competition. And then really, the competition launches on the 6th. It's going to be about 5 weeks where the students get to prepare, get to touch base with the company that they'll be working on. It's everything from creating a schedule, allocating, milestones, tasks, responsibilities. It's the real deal. And, with that, I'm certainly sure there are some questions.
Oh, we have a question here. This is from Ashley. What does the pricing all include? So what it includes, the pricing includes the cost of the faculty advisor's attendance for the conference. So the faculty advisor can attend all of the sessions and meals. The fee does not include the students' breakfast or lunch on Wednesday or Thursday for the students. This year, we're trying something new. We're going to give the students each an $80 Visa card for them to go, at Caesars or Planet Hollywood or McDonald's or wherever they choose for them to eat their meals. The reason why we implemented this change is that the conference, while we have this event that runs in conjunction with the annual conference, it's very difficult for the students to try to make breakfast or try to make lunch while trying to do these presentations, and especially on that Thursday. So we felt by giving the students an $80 Visa card would allow them to be able to select a restaurant and a time that's convenient for them, as opposed to having them come in the last 10 minutes of lunch or missing lunch. So the fee includes everything but breakfast and lunch on Wednesday or Thursday for the students. The faculty advisor is able to attend the keynote sessions, the lunches, and the breakfast. Well, I would like to, thank Jordan for putting this together. We had a very quick turnaround. I'd like to thank all of our panelists for participating. I'd like to thank Peregrine Academic Services for sponsoring this webinar and for sponsoring the cash prize. I'd like to thank all of our other sponsors as well. They have all been very committed and very gracious with their time and input, and just like to give them the recognition that they deserve. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or to Jordan. I hope this webinar provided everybody with some insight and addressed any questions that you may have had, and maybe, hopefully pushed you to actually signing up a team today. So with that, I think this webinar is concluded. Jordan, did you have anything you wanted to add, or?
I just want to thank you, Rochelle. Thank you so much for continuing to make the case competition a priority for IACBE and continuing to evolve it so that we can better serve the schools and students and faculty that participate.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your day.